Hi, it's Maggie with Golden Lights Within, and I'm back with another video. Today is going to be about the racetrack mind, is what I call it, and how to get out of the racetrack mind, because being in that survival mode and stressed, frantic state is not good for our health, and it's also just no way to live, to just experience life fully and just be relaxed and quite literally enjoy the ride. So this is coming from someone who definitely, has been on the racetrack mind a lot. And, so I've had to find ways to get off and get on the scenic route and just slow down and enjoy things. And I'm very passionate about this because I think when we think about health, we think about all these physical things, and while those are great, like the exercise and getting the light and eating nutritious foods and helping our physical body in that way, I think sometimes these mindset shifts are not talked about as much. I do think it's being talked about more, but I think that this is kind of the foundation of things. So if we are doing all these things right physically, we're eating all the right foods, we're getting up at sunrise, we're doing all these things, we're getting optimal sleep, but then when we're awake, we're in this like frantic, stressed out, scattered mind state that we have to get this done, and then we can't focus on anything because we're thinking about this, and then we snap at someone around us, and then that makes us feel bad, and it's just this like perpetual state of negative emotions, negative kind of low vibe frequencies, and we like feel like we can't get out of it, right? If we're in that state, we will never be healthy, right? And again, the whole point, right, is to have this foundation of health so that you can enjoy your life. It's not just to like be healthy and unhappy and then have your life go by. That's not the point. It's, to have this quality of life. And to do that, what I found is you have to have a quality of consciousness. You can't be rolling around, or I guess I should say speeding around in racetrack mode and kind of being unconscious. You're at that like low level state where you're just like reacting to everything and you're in that survival state. That's no way to live. And of course, like, we're human and it happens. It's just not good to chronically be in that state. And I think we all intuitively know that. That's not something new, that I'm telling you. I'm sure, we've all been in that state and we know it's not enjoyable, right? It's not enjoyable for us or people around us. So that is why I want to talk about this today. And so again, just thinking about this analogy, right? When we are in this state where we're like worried about different things and we're like racing to get things done, and we're scatterbrained, and we can't seem to focus enough to get one task done, and we're feeling stressed and frustrated and angry and that sort of thing all throughout the process. That is like race car mode. Like, we're on the racetrack and we are flying through. And so if you think about a race car just flying by on the racetrack, they are not noticing anything or anyone around them, right? They could be they're really unstable, right? Like, anything could kind of like blow up at any time, right? They could just fly off the track and it would be explosive and not good, right? And so they're missing the present moment. They're flying by, so they're not like able to absorb or enjoy anything. And you may be in an adrenaline rush, but you're not in the relaxed state to just be, to create, to learn. So that's racetrack mode. So what we want to do is we want to learn to veer off the road, slow the car down, get on the country road, the scenic route. The wind's blowing through our hair, we've got the windows down, our dog's looking out the window, we're noticing beautiful flowers and trees along the way. Maybe we have time to like listen to our favorite song and just enjoy it, or talk with someone in the car with us, right? So just really visualizing racetrack versus this scenic, veering off into the countryside kind of mode, all right? So that visual has really worked for me personally in that analogy. And that's just helped me even shift from that racetrack mode to the present moment. So I think just keeping that in mind, maybe that sticks for you too. And I do want to note too that yes, you know, the yoga, the long walks in nature that I talk about, you know, getting a massage, all these things are good, you know, and bringing you into that state, but we don't always necessarily have time to do the hour-long yoga class. And it really is a state of mind that we need to practice moment by moment. So although those things are great and we definitely want to have those in our lives, we also want to practice this moment by moment, you know, way to get off the racetrack. So we don't have to just wait until we have a chance for a massage to feel that, right? We want to work on cultivating it moment by moment. And so that's why in this video, I want to tell you what has worked for me as far as doing that and what I'm, you know, practicing and seeing if that works for you. And of course, if you have, you know, something that's worked for you as well, you can comment that below, because I think we all would love more tips. I would love more tips as well. And I think that, again, getting off that racetrack is super important. So the secret, I won't say it's a secret because, you know, it's obviously been said. I'm not, you know, telling you anything new, but the secret is to be the observer of your mind. You have to find a way to take a step back and zoom out and see yourself as that race car zooming and slowing that car down. So really watching that mind, because the reason why this works is that if you become the observer of your mind and you notice that you are thinking thoughts and feeling emotions that are making you feel bad, and you're consciously aware of that, you're going to want to figure out a new path. Because once that becomes conscious, that's not just like that automatic reactive state. When you pull back and you look at that, that would be insanity to be like, oh, I just want to continue this. Like, I just want to continue to feel terrible, right? And stressed out. No, you're gonna, once you take a step out of that, just even if it's like a brief moment to start with, you're gonna start to get curious about like, hey, what's up with that? Why am I doing that? And when you start to pull yourself out more and more, you're going to be aware of these patterns. And when you're aware of it, you will want to shift it. So that is like the, you know, your innate ability to heal, right? When you can see those things, you aren't going to want to stay in that state, right? When you become more and more aware. So that is why being the observer is so powerful. So I'm going to just go over, again, the things that have worked for me to become the observer. And they're not anything crazy, right? It's not, you know, this abracadabra magic potion that I'm doing, but I also just want to tell you why, and then the things I'm trying, and then, you know, you can give that a shot and see if that sparks creativity within you about something else you can do. So number one is, and this is a practice, I don't do this every time, you know, I'm human too, but when I'm starting to have like thoughts about, you know, work, and then a worry about, you know, an email that I need to send, you know, to someone, and then, you know, just when I start to notice all that, and then I'm in the car and I'm late to something. My favorite is if I'm I'm late to yoga, so I'm like stressed racing to yoga. But, you know, right, like you're in the car and you're like stressed and you're like, like I'm not getting there. I immediately put my hand on my heart, which that's also just so I can feel my heartbeat, right? It's like kind of a coming home to yourself notion, but it's also like to feel your heartbeat. And the minute that I start to feel that, I'm like, okay, you know, snaps me back to the present moment, you know, and then I take a couple deep breaths, and that's just enough for me to be like, whoa, things are getting out of control. Like I need to slow this car down, right? Like things are getting out of control. And you know, I'll be candid, sometimes I get back to base for a few moments and then I catch myself doing it again and I have to pull myself out, right? Like we're all human, we're all doing our best. The point is to have this intention to work towards this, and eventually it will become more natural. And it's so worth the process because it's so important for your quality of life and health. So again, literally so simple. And I know when I do this, it's like a symbol, it symbolizes me coming back, right? Coming back right here, you know? And so hand on your heart, take some deep breaths, snap back to the present moment. If you have to keep doing it over the course of 10 minutes, that's okay, right? It's a process. So the other thing I do is I literally visualize the analogy I was talking to you about. So again, in this frantic state, mind's out of control, chaotic, and I literally visualize that my car right now is like almost like flying off the road. Like it's craziness, right? And I'm like, oh my goodness, I need to pump the brakes a little bit here. I need to take a second and veer off, the road. And honestly, just by like that visualization alone, I'm like, oh, like I don't want to be like racing crazy and like chaotically maybe causing an accident. You know what I mean? Like that visualization in and of itself makes me want to slow down. So for me, that visualization works as well. And then another thing, again, I want to keep these simple, right? Because these are things that you could literally actually do in your daily life. You don't need to like pull off to the side and do 10 yoga poses or anything. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just trying to give you realistic things that I actually do. So I literally just notice one thing in my environment. So when I start to feel that way, right? It could just literally be a rock on the ground. And I'm just focusing on that rock. And again, that puts me in the present moment and it stops that chaotic pattern and creates stillness in my mind and then my body. So again, right, there's just a rock on the ground. You're like zeroing in on that, and whatever, think about, you could pick it up even, think about the texture, whatever, but just so that you're shifting out of that is really important. So again, to recap, so hand on your heart, taking deep breaths to snap you back. You could use the race car analogy and then veering off to like a quiet, peaceful country road. And then also just noticing one thing in your environment. You don't need to tap into every sense. You can if you want, but just, hey, I'm going to notice one thing. I'm going to focus on that. And those are powerful ways to shift that. And then I just wanted to say some books that I've read that have truly been impactful for me in shifting this. And I think if you're curious at all about learning about this type of thing and want to implement more of this and have more knowledge, I would recommend reading The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And then I would also recommend reading Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza. I think a lot, in the lines of this topic, those two books are super powerful and helpful, and having that knowledge only helps you. So I hope that helps. Again, those have worked for me, those tips, and it's so worth the journey. Even if it could be, difficult at times, it's so worth the journey to have that, quality of consciousness where you can enjoy your life and be present and be here and now. And then again, that lays the foundation for good health because your body will respond well to you being here in the now. All right, I will catch you in the next video. Thanks for listening.